The bones were destroyed before most of us were born. A German paleontologist pulled them out of the Egyptian desert in 1912. Jaw fragments, vertebrae, the towering spines of something no one had ever seen. He spent decades studying them, built a reconstruction, published his findings. And then, in the spring of 1944, an Allied bomb hit the museum in Munich, where the fossils were kept. Everything burned. For the next 70 years, the largest predatory dinosaur that ever lived existed only in sketches, in old photographs, and in the memory of a science that had moved on without it. This is Spinosaurus. And what we've found out about it since, that's where things get strange. For most of the 20th century, if you thought about Spinosaurus at all, you probably pictured something like a T-Rex with a sail on its back. Bigger, maybe. Slower, probably. A land predator. A straightforward killer. That's the version that showed up in Jurassic Park 3 in 2001, snapping a T-Rex's neck in the opening scene, then hunting humans through a jungle. Hollywood's version. And for a while, paleontologists didn't have enough evidence to argue with it much. The problem was the fossils. Without them, everything was guesswork built on incomplete sketches. Scientists knew Spinosaurus was enormous. Ernst Stromer's original notes suggested something around 50 feet long. They knew about the spines, some almost 7 feet tall, running the length of its back, like a biological sail. But the animal underneath those spines, that remained a mystery. Then, in 2014, everything changed. A paleontologist named Nizar Ibrahim had spent years obsessing over Spinosaurus. He'd tracked down Stromer's surviving notes from archives across Germany, including the Stromer family castle in Bavaria, and in the Sahara, in the Badlands of Morocco, known as the Kem beds, he found new bones. What they revealed didn't match anything anyone had expected. Spinosaurus was not built like a T-Rex, not even close. Picture an animal 50 feet long, longer than any Tyrannosaurus ever measured by more than 9 feet. Its skull was long and narrow, almost like a crocodile's, filled with interlocking conical teeth designed not for crushing bone, but for gripping, slippery prey. Its nostrils sat high on the skull, positioned toward the top of the snout. Its hind legs were short, surprisingly short for an animal that size. Its bones were dense and heavy, like a diving bird's, and its tail. The 2020 discovery of its tail vertebrae showed something extraordinary. A broad, paddle-like structure, flexible and powerful, shaped not to push off the ground, but to move through water. Spinosaurus was not a land predator. It was, as far as we can tell, the only large dinosaur that spent a significant part of its life in the water. Now, here's where scientists still disagree. And the disagreement matters, because it changes everything about how you picture this animal. One camp, led by Ibrahim himself, argues Spinosaurus was a true aquatic predator, swimming, diving, hunting fish underwater the way a giant crocodile might. The paddle tail, the dense bones, the crocodilian skull, all of it points to a creature genuinely at home beneath the surface. The other camp looks at the same evidence and sees something different. A wader, a shoreline hunter. Something closer to a heron the size of a bus, standing in the shallows, using that long skull to snatch fish from just below the surface. Powerful in the water, yes, but not a diver, not a swimmer in the full sense. The honest answer in 2025 is this: we don't know for certain. The debate is still live. New bones are still being found. What we do know is that neither version, neither the aquatic hunter nor the shoreline predator, looks anything like the creature that fought a T-Rex in a movie theater in 2001. Set aside the debate for a moment. Zoom in to 97 million years ago, to the vast river system that stretched across what is now the Sahara Desert. This wasn't a desert then. It was a floodplain, a tangle of rivers and shallow seas, teeming with life unlike anything alive today. Fish the size of cars, lungfish, coelacanths, enormous sawfish, crocodilian creatures up to 30 feet long, giant flying reptiles patrolling the air above, and wading through it, or moving through it, Spinosaurus. It wasn't alone at the top. The chem beds also preserved Carcharodontosaurus, an enormous terrestrial predator, roughly T-Rex-sized, built for land. Paleontologists call this Stromer's riddle. How did a single ecosystem support three apex predators of this scale? The answer, most now believe, is that Spinosaurus wasn't competing for the same prey. It had claimed the water. The rivers and floodplains were its domain, and no other predator of its size had followed it there. That sail on its back, those 7-foot spines, would have risen above the waterline as it moved through the shallows. Visible from a distance, unmistakable. Nothing in that world would have mistaken it for anything other than what it was. Spinosaurus lived during the Cretaceous period, the last chapter of the Dinosaur Age. It vanished along with its entire world, approximately 93 million years ago, long before the asteroid that ended the dinosaurs entirely. The exact cause isn't clear. Climate shifts, sea level changes, the flood plains it depended on may have dried and contracted. The ecosystem that had supported three apex predators at once, that strange flooded world of giant fish and enormous reptiles, collapsed, and Spinosaurus collapsed with it. What it left behind were a handful of bones, scattered across a desert that was once a river, waiting to be found by a German aristocrat in 1912, then burned, then rediscovered, piece by piece, in the years that followed. There's something worth sitting with here. For most of a century, the largest predatory animal that ever walked the earth was known only from notes and photographs. The actual bones, gone. And when new ones were finally found, they didn't confirm what everyone assumed. They described something stranger, something that didn't fit the template. A dinosaur that had, against every expectation, gone into the water. Science had to start over. That's what makes Spinosaurus different from every other creature in this series. It isn't just a remarkable animal. It's a reminder that the prehistoric world doesn't owe us a simple story. The bones are still out there, and everyone we find rewrites it further.